Oh, there's something there. Oh, look how big they've gotten. I miss you, baby. Yeah. Hey guys, so we're doing better. We had a patch. When did we have a patch? 29th of November. Hey, where are you going? Oh, sweet baby. Yes, 29th of November. I had a patch, and I contacted my doctor beforehand and basically said, whatever we did last time did not work. Not only did it not work, it was terrible. And so I was really happy to know that he took that into account, because when I got there, originally I was planning on having just one patch, T5 and T6 on the left side. And so when I went into the procedure, that's what I thought I was getting. So he said, scrap what we were going to do before. We're not going to do T5, T6 on the left side. We're going to do, I think we did T6 and T7 bilaterally. So one on either side. Because we found that that's an area where I've had improvement before a couple different times. So we thought that since I wasn't doing so great, let's do what we know works and go from there. And so that's what we ended up doing. I had a higher pressure headache where it goes across your forehead and kind of in your temples, which I was really excited about because that means that we had some level of a seal, at least in the beginning. And so I messaged my doctor. I'm like, hey, I've got that headache. Should I start the diuretic? Because I have it from the last time I had this headache with a previous patch, I think in the same spot. And so this was a good indication that we'd gotten a good spot, basically. And so I think I ended up taking the diuretic for about a week, or a little bit over a week, I think, before I felt I wasn't getting as much help from it. Something about the diuretic that can be a little rough is because I have dysautonomia. The diuretic causes you to flush out water. And for someone who struggles with low blood volume to begin with, it can be kind of counterintuitive. But the seal of that patch is really important to me. So you kind of have to stay hydrated while also flushing out the water, because that keeps that CSF pressure from going too high and busting the patch. Since that patch, I haven't really noticed any kind of coordination problems on my right side, because previous to the patch, I have altered sensation all the way down my right side. So right side of my face, right arm, right leg. And so when I'm leaking worse than usual, I can have coordination problems. It's harder to write, which sucks because I'm right hand dominant. I'm also right leg dominant. And so I can have troubles walking. I can have troubles writing. I feel like my face isn't right. And before this last patch, I was developing intermittent tremors where I looked like I had like cerebral palsy or Parkinson's, where it's that where the head is shaking and you can't get it to stop shaking in your hand. And I, at some point I had full body head to toe tremors, and it was really weird. And it was a little, I'd had some level of it before, but it was pretty scary a little bit. It wasn't something I necessarily expected, and it was definitely an indication that I wasn't doing well. So since this last patch, I haven't really noticed any tremors. I haven't noticed any coordination problems. I do still have altered sensation on the right side, but it hasn't affected my coordination. It just feels different, which I've kind of become used to just because I've had it for months. I've noticed that I feel more wide-eyed, where I feel more awake. I feel like I'm more present. And my coworkers have been commenting that I'm full of myself. So all those are signs that this was a better patch, and I'm really, really, really thankful because it was getting a little rough there for a minute. My pain level in my neck it's kind of is what it is. I have noticed that I'm not having as many bad days, and my pain level is usually about a 7 or an 8 on average. So my pain scale is about three scales worth. So I start either at a 7 or an 8, and a 9 is I'm really, really, really struggling, and 10 is like I'm out. So usually 8 is average, 9 is I hurt so bad I could probably have an episode, and that's about it. 7, 8, 9, 10. That's my scale. I did have a patch, I think back in May, where I felt like my pain level usually went from a 6 to a 7, which for me is a big deal. I'm enjoying feeling human, for lack of a better term. I'm feeling more human. We haven't been able to replicate that, unfortunately, but I have noticed that I have had a little bit more energy. I'm still pretty tired. I'm still pretty fatigued. I'm still getting pretty worn out, and my dysautonomia isn't perfect. I do feel like I'm struggling more. I feel like I'm needing to use my tights more often. But overall, in comparison to where I was in this past month, I'm doing better. So in regards to the gallstone that I spoke about, I think in my last video, I have a follow-up with my general surgeon because I had an ultrasound yesterday just to see kind of what's going on in there and if it's going to be causing a problem. So tomorrow I'll kind of learn whether or not it's a surgical case or if it's just, control it with your eating, which I've pretty much done anyways. I have a new car. It's a used car, but it's pretty dang new. And it's a huge deal for me because as a 24-year-old, you feel like you should have some things down, and there's some goals that should have been met at the point that you've reached this age. And one of them had been that I had only ever had hand-me-down cars from my family. I'd never bought my own car with my own money because I had never been able to hold down a job long enough to build up any real savings because of my health. Because I would maybe work for 4 months and then I'd be on medical leave for 4 months. And then I'd work for 4 months and then I'd be off for another 4 months. So the last couple of years, work-wise, have been really rough. And so a big milestone for me this year has been that come January, I will have worked the job that I'm currently in for a year. And that is by far a personal record for me. Because I think I've only ever worked a solid stretch where I didn't take time for medical leave about 4 months. So the fact that I've been able to hold down my job for a year, basically, and I haven't had to take huge chunks of time off due to my health is a big deal. So I feel like that's a big victory for me this year. And so as someone who's been feeling really frustrated and feeling really stuck and feeling like I'm behind, which is entirely irrelevant because you really shouldn't measure your self-worth and your success on other people. It's really human to do. And so in my human moments, I tend to compare myself to my peers who aren't having the health struggles that I've had. And it's apples and oranges, but what do you do? So for me, buying this car was a big deal for me because I finally feel like I've worked towards something, I've accomplished something, I have more responsibility, I feel a little bit more adult, basically. And for me, that's a big deal because financially, it's been really rough to keep a job long enough to have savings, long enough to have enough money to buy a car. I did have a family member who basically gave me a loan, and so I'll be paying them back each month just like I'll be paying for the car each month. But the nice thing is that since it's family, it won't have any interest. And so this was the most efficient way to do it. So part of it was my money, part of it was the loan, and then part of it's just financing a car like everybody else. I love it. I love it so much because it's literally the nicest thing I own. And it's a much newer car than the one I've been driving. And so that feeling of ownership has felt really, really good. Feeling like, this is mine and it's nobody else's and they can't take it away from me. And so with the car, there are some stresses because that is more money coming out of my bank account each month. So in my mind, there's more stress because I can't, if something happens, if I have to do a medical procedure, what have you, if I have a period in my life where I'm not making money because I'm on medical leave, having that car payment will be a stress. Having said that, my family is really great and they've been incredibly supportive. And so if I ask, they will help me. It's the asking part that I'm just really bad at. So I predict that if I ever need help financially paying for the car, it's just gonna irk me and I'm just gonna hate it the whole time. However, at this moment in time, I'm just really happy because it's something that I've been wanting to do for a long time, and I've finally gotten to a point where I can do it. So it's a big deal. It's a good step for me. It is finals. It is finals. It is finals. I have one more final left. School this semester has been rough, to put it mildly. As you guys know, I've been getting a patch procedure. Every time I say patch, most likely I've gotten more than one during that procedure. I usually tend to get between 2 and 4 patches each procedure. But I've had a procedure every month since this semester started and all of this year, which is not, don't compare yourself to me because I have a feeling that I'm a unique case. But I have been getting patches every month since the school year started, and that means that inevitably each patch was up against an exam. And so the problem I was finding is that I really, really bit off more than I can chew this semester, where I was like, work full time, go to school 3/4 time, whatever, I could do it, right? No, I couldn't. I started out with 4 classes, and I'm going to be finishing out the semester with 2 because I backed out of one of my classes, I think 3 or 4 weeks in, because I had missed an assignment, I'd missed something else, and I was going to miss my exam because of a patch. And I'm like, there's no way, like my grade cannot recover from this. And then I had another class that I had to pull out of for a similar reason. I'd had a patch right before where I had the patch, and Stanford's standard for patches is to be down for 72 hours instead of 24. And so I actually was shortening my 72 to 48 in order to get up to do this exam. And I bombed it, completely failed it. And my grade never recovered. And I was so close to failing for a really long time. And then once again, a patch was up against an exam and I didn't have time to study, and I was just on the edge. I couldn't push my body any farther than I had done. And I knew that I was going to push myself to the point of my body breaking down in order to study for an exam I had no chance of passing. And I knew going into this exam I would be dropped from the class. So instead of pushing myself to the point of my body just giving out, I told my counselor, I'm like, I can't do this. Like my body will not do this. And I don't have the time. I'm sorry, I have to pull out of this class. So pulling out of those 2 classes was really tough for me, even though I knew most likely I was going to have to do it. The fact that I actually had to do it was a lot harder for me to wrap my head around. But I still have 2 of the 4 left, and I'm not gonna lie, I cannot brag about my grades. They are not great. They are not excellent by any means, but as far as I'm aware, I'm still passing in these classes. So as long as I don't completely lose all of my sanity and cognitive ability, I should be able to pull these classes out and be able to pass. Having said that, I will not do this to myself again. And I think I mentioned this in my other video. I cannot do 4 classes and work full time. My body wasn't doing it. It hated me. I hated me. It was rough. I've been going to college pretty much constantly for the last 6-7 years. And I can honestly say this was one of my toughest semesters just because of all of the things I was trying to juggle. And so having said that, moving forward, as much as I just want to get this done and as much as I just want to graduate and just be done, I've decided that until I'm done actively patching my CSF leaks, I'm going to limit it to 2 classes. And this next semester, I'll have 1 ass in the class, and the other one will be an online, so that I'll have that flexibility to do patches and not be missing a whole bunch of hours of in-class time. Knowing this, I know that I'm still gonna miss probably a decent amount of time, physical time being in that class, because I won't be able to make every class. And so that may be something I have to talk to my instructor about and basically go, I'm gonna try my best to be here, but this is kind of what I've got going. Please be patient with me. Moving forward, I have yet another patch, surprise, 2 days after Christmas. And then this last time, he was like, so we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna do this. And I was like, I only have 2 procedures scheduled, and you just listed 3. And he's like, well, better schedule that, don't you? Okay. And I knew in this process we were going to do that batch of 4, and then we were going to plan more. So it wasn't unexpected, but at the same time it was. So I'll have one in January as well. Moving forward, video-wise, I know I'm fairly inconsistent with my uploads just because of my lifestyle and the fact that I'm attempting to go to school and work. But the next 2 videos I plan on making, and they'll take time to make, so please be patient. But my next 2 things I want to do is I'm wanting to make a tools video, because as I walk around my house, I realize I've bought a lot of things to help me in my daily life that I don't necessarily think of as tools that help me with my symptoms and with my limitations, but there are a lot of things that I've done to modify my life so that I'm able to do things on my own without help. And that is a really big thing, because I don't always have help around the house. I live with several other people, so 9 times out of 10 I can get help, but at some point I would like to move out on my own. I'd like to be independent, and so my family has been very supportive and has really helped me in trying to find tools and products that can help me be independent, because life doesn't stop because you're ill. And despite the fact I have some fairly interesting health issues, I want everything that a normal 20-something wants, which is to live on my own and do all my own things. So these tools are all things I use in order to do that. And so some of them are really obvious and some of them aren't so obvious. So I thought that I would share my tools, and hopefully they'll help you guys too. The second one's going to be a college-related video. I know that the age range that you guys are is everything from young teen, and I think I have someone who subscribed to me who's as old as 60-something. But I cater to a wide variety of people. But there are a couple parents that I've spoken to recently who have college-age children, and I'm sure that a lot of them are like me, who they're college age kids and they want to do everything that a normal college kid wants to do. So I want to do a college related video as far as what I do to help me get through a college day, you know, how I get my stamina to last, you know, how I plan my day in order to manage a college day. And so those are going to be my next 2 planned videos. I'm also going to be making a more updated dysautonomia video, because I know that I've really kind of strayed away from that, and that was kind of why I made this channel in the first place. I know that a lot of you are here because you have dysautonomia, whether it's POTS or NCS, or POTS and NCS, because that actually is a thing. I actually think I'm a little bit of both, because my tilt table test basically said that I have NCS-like traits and POTS-like traits, so that's why I usually say dysautonomia, because it's pretty general. And honestly, a lot of the times you have the same symptoms no matter what you have. But I plan to kind of make a "so you got diagnosed, now what" kind of video as well, because I have spoken to several people who are either in the process of getting diagnosed or are newly diagnosed. And there's also a lot of people who are diagnosed but weren't really given any kind of information beyond that. So those are kind of my plans for the future. I'm not going to give a timeline, because every time I make a timeline, I end up lying to you guys. But those are kind of my goals. And so most likely I'll kind of work on these videos a little bit when I have free time, and then at the point that they're all culminated, I'll post them. But these next 3 videos, I really want to be informative and clean and not a super quick vlog because I have 5 minutes, you know. So that's a plan. I hope that all of you guys are doing well, and I'm glad I'm doing a little better. And as always, I will keep you guys updated, but that's kind of where I'm at, and I really hope that I'm still being helpful to you guys. And I have noticed there are more of you who are wanting to ask me questions, and because I can't always post videos, it may be very helpful to you guys to follow my Facebook page, which is down in the description. But I do tend to post more on Facebook because it's something that I can do while I'm doing other things. So if you guys have questions, that's a great place to send them, because I tend to respond to comments fairly quickly. I really do try to make sure that if I see any comments come in, that I reply fairly quickly, at least within 24 hours. So if you find that I'm not posting as often, I would definitely check my Facebook page. And another goal that I have for this coming year is that I want to make more blog posts, and that should be down in the description as well. But my idea is to make sure that I have different kinds of media for different kinds of people, because some people may not be so much into YouTube videos but still have questions, or they like to have kind of the slice of life that you can find in a blog. So that's the plan. But yeah, so I will keep you guys updated, and I hope you guys are all doing well, and I will see you in the next video. What are you doing, you goose? Gotta go. Oh.